Another item that we have on this sheet is called Other Hints. And that's what we're going to go over now. Now, when we look at something like this, and I did mention that in one of the first tapes I did of this little item here is called a T-chart. And I call this a special T-chart because if you put in this T-chart a 0 for the X, and then here a 0 for the Y, this will give you actually the Y-intercepts and the X-intercept. The general form for the Y-intercept is 0, comma, B. Remember, B is our Y-intercept. And then the other one is A, comma, 0. So let's take a look at this and then how it could be helpful in graphing an equation that's in standard form. We had done this one already, so now let's do this one. So can you see that they're in standard form? And when you have something in standard form, a really good way to graph it is to use this special T-chart. So let's go on and do it. So we're saying if X is 0, 4 times 0 is 0. Now we're going to divide both sides by 5, and we get Y is 4. And then if Y is 0, 5 times 0 is 0. We're now going to divide both sides by 4, and we get X is 5. So there are our 2 points. We're going to make a graph, and of course if you're keeping notes in your homework log or wherever you're doing your homework, you're sketching the graph. You may not have graph paper. So 0, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. You put a dot right there. 5, 0. You put a dot right there. And again, this is equal, so it's just a straight line through these points. Oh, I did pretty good on that one. Okay? So the Y-intercept is right there, and your X-intercept is right there. And this is the special T-chart called the X and Y intercept T-chart. And there's the graph. Again, you practice this and do the best you can. Again, standard form for the Y-intercept, standard form for the X-intercept. Okay, continuing on the sheet, these are some extra things. We're now going to go over some vocabulary, and I forgot to put in the word relation. This is often used when we're referring to these other words. And a relation is just the interaction between the X and the Y. These terms are related, so they make a relation. And if you had a whole set, this would be your relation of the set of particular coordinates. Now, when we go to define the domain is made up of only the X elements in a relation. The range is made up of the Y elements in a relation. And again, it's a little more complicated, but simplified. What is a function? A function is something in which the X element is only used one in the series of whatever you're dealing with. The X element is only used once. So, here they're asking us, let's say, to define the domain. Well, the domain would be 3, 4, 5. And here, define the range. The range would be 2, 3, 4. So you're just picking them right out of the ordered pairs. Now the question is this relation a function? Well, let's look at function once again. It's the x element only used once. So as we see here, 3, 4, 5. Is the x element used more than once? And the answer is no. So is this a function? And the answer is yes. Now, what would make it not a function while we're here? Well, let's suppose I had this point. And now I see the 3's are used twice. So if that were the original, the answer would have been no. It would be not a function. But just these 3, without that, that was a function. If I add this one, it's not a function, no. And by the way, when you write the domain of this, you would write it just this way. If something is repeated, we don't include it. And that will be that. And we're going to do something else here too. Now, suppose we were asked to define, using interval notation, the domain of this particular graph. So once again, the domain were the x elements. So as you see, all of these are going to be values of x that are in our domain. So I guess I put too many points. That'll be okay. So this is going to be -3. That's where our domain, our x values start. So this will be a bracket, -3, comma, and it's going up to positive infinity, way out there. And now for our range, and this is a little tricky. Where is our range starting? Well, actually, it's starting right there at 0, because this ordered pair is this. So our range, and that goes up, these are our y values, will start at 0 and go to infinity. And one other quick one, how about something like that? Okay, it's a little tricky. So our domain are all our x values. And this is going to go up and start at -infinity and go to positive infinity. Keeping in mind that we write infinities with a parenthesis. Well, our range will start here again at 0, because this ordered pair is 2, 0. So, bracket 0, positive infinity. Okay, there are more things. Again, this is just meant to be a little light review, and hopefully it's useful for you.